Attention parents and coaches. Do you wish you had a safe social media platform for your youth athletes? Fortunately for you, there's a revolutionary new app that helps with just that. Introducing Small Player, Big Play. Small Player, Big Play app provides young athletes, parents, and coaches a user-friendly sports social media platform. The app allows users to connect with friends, make new friends, create groups, text, chat, and post pictures and videos of you and your teammates participating in your favorite sport or activity. To begin, users can simply download and sign up for the app using an email account. Younger users have the ability to sign up using their smartphone and a parent's email address. From there, users can begin to interact and engage with other users of the app. Small Player Big Play app also gives users the ability to live stream full games and events. You can live stream your event so that friends, family, or anyone in the world can see you in action. Users can also share posts from the app to their other social media accounts like Facebook and Twitter. What are you waiting for? Get in the game and share your love of sports with the world. Download the Small Player Big Play app today.
Are you ready to listen to my dad Joe and Uncle Justin talk about sports? Now on with the show.
The Joe Mays and J-Raff Show is brought to you by Mays Sandwich Shop, which have been serving the greater West Lawn area delicious food for over 70 years. You are listening to the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show.
Boring.
A weekly podcast about sports since 2011,
Don't you ever get tired of being wrong all the time?
with a focus on football.
Kansas City 31, San Francisco 20. Mahomes takes the snap. He's just going to throw it long for Demarcus Robinson. It is going to use up all the time. The game is over, and the Chiefs' kingdom has firmly planted its flag on top of football's highest summit. The Kansas City Chiefs are champions of Super Bowl 54.
Now, here are your hosts, Joe Mays and Justin Raffoff. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show. This is episode 325, and Justin, I don't think we're going to be able to top what we were able to accomplish last week.
So I told you that. So I was working something on Monday, and the guy we both know and have worked a bunch with actually for our other show in terms of the Bulldog Hour, in terms of logistics and some of those aspects, came up to me and was like, "Ah, man, I bet you guys talked a lot about Chad last night." And I was like, "Actually, he called in," and like his face. Like jaw drop. It was like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Yes."
Yes.
It was incredible.
Yeah, it was funny. I got interviewed by WFMZ on Monday. They told me they wanted to talk to the community about the viral sensation that Chad had become.
Right, because it wasn't like he just got in the game. It's the way everything unfolded.
Right, yeah.
It was perfect.
It was a perfect storm.
Like, it would have been one thing if it was in the regular season. Like, it would have been big in Kansas City. You know what I mean? Like, the way it went down.
But
in a playoff game...
to seal it at the end with that huge run that everyone just said was, like, that's Chad.
Right.
And then the play and just the confidence that the team and Coach Reed showed in him to convert on that fourth down. And then Patrick Mahomes tweeting out what he did, and then once you get the mainstream sports social media managers involved, now you're talking about millions of people are seeing this.
Right.
And everyone just kind of latched on, and well, it worked out pretty well for all involved. Obviously, the Chiefs winning was the most important. Chad getting recognition was amazing. Everyone talking about him all week long across all the sports shows.
It was really cool.
Yeah, it was going nuts here locally. Obviously, Red and Eagle had coverage. I mentioned WFMZ. I got to speak with them, so that was fun. And then I had actually a Wilson fan, Wilson Booster, an alumni that follows the football program, hangs out at all the games, messaged me and said, "Are you going to do a Wilson shirt?" And I was like, I wasn't planning on it, but I mean, I can draw something up and show you. And then Well, then this happened. I don't know if you can see it real well, but so in about 5 days, we drew up a design, had it printed, and sold over 150 shirts with
gosh.
it printed. Now the great thing is, one, it was approved by Chad. I made sure
Yeah,
to get his,
right,
you know,
right.
I mean, quote unquote licensing. It's obviously not the same thing as going through the agent and whatnot, but Chad's gracious enough to allow us to do that. And two, the proceeds from the sale are going to go to Wilson Minithon.
Oh, that's
So,
awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's what was decided with the sale. So the remaining, the proceeds from the sale of the shirts after costs and everything, going to be able to make a nice little donation to
That's
Wilson
awesome.
Minithon, which is obviously normally would be coming up.
Right.
And the main event at Penn State is obviously going to be impacted by the lingering coronavirus as well. So we know that those fine charities could use any of the money they can get.
Absolutely.
And just thought keeping the money in the district and going to a great cause through the Minithon Foundation was the best way to go. So I will have a check for them in the not too distant future. So I appreciate Chad and the Henny family allowing me to do this, and I think a lot of people are happy that they were able to get them for the game today, because as of right now, the Chiefs are playing the Bills in the AFC Championship game. And not only does Wilson have Chad Henne on the sideline for the Kansas City Chiefs, the Bulldogs also have Rodney Hill as a member of the Buffalo Bills strength and conditioning coaching staff.
Yes.
A lot of fun. I saw, because of the situation, he isn't able to travel to the game right now, but he is a member of the team, and obviously had a huge impact on the Bills' success this year behind the scenes. It's not a position that gets a lot of recognition, but
So
they're very, very important.
And also, I don't know if he talked to you about it, but our friend Adam, who is a huge Bills fan.
He's not my friend. I can't take credit for him right now.
My friend, your acquaintance,
Yeah.
Adam.
He's a Bills fan. I can't.
Right. He actually ran into Rodney's mom the other day
Oh, really?
at the store. And ended up talking to her for a bunch because he had a Wilson sweatshirt on, and she talked to him, and so ended up talking. And it just so happens Adam is a huge Bills fan. It was perfect timing.
Yeah, that is perfect timing, and that is the silver lining for me if the Bills beat the Chiefs.
Oh, absolutely.
Is that Rodney's associated with the team. That makes it.
And there's a Penn Stater on the team too, isn't there?
Yeah, Ryan Bates is on the team, so that makes me happy. But with the Buccaneers winning, we already got 3 Penn Staters in the game.
Right, I like that we're guaranteed to have one win this
because
year. Because there's one on all 4 teams.
The Chiefs have Stefan Wisniewski, who has already won a Super Bowl with. Who was that with?
Let me think. The Eagles.
Oh, the Eagles, right, the Eagles. So, yeah, he's back as a backup lineman for the Chiefs.
He won one with the Chiefs last year, too, I believe.
He did. He's already won 2.
Right.
So, that's great news for him. But, yeah, Ryan Bates on the Bills, and then Adrian Amos was with the Packers, but they fell to the Bucs today. And we're going to talk about Bucs-Packers, but
Penn State showed up big in that game.
Yeah. Amos with an interception. Godwin had a huge game. Talking about he's already the most receiving yards by a Bucs receiver in postseason history.
Is he a free agent this year?
I don't think so.
Okay, I didn't know.
I think this was year 3, wasn't it?
I don't remember.
I think he's got one more year left, I think.
Because Allen Robinson is a free agent this year.
He is a free agent this year, yes. That is for sure, because I was hoping Miami would target him in free agency to pair with Devontae Parker.
He would be a great matchup,
and then,
complement to Devontae Parker.
Draft Devontae Smith at 3.
There you go.
Dreams. Let's not talk about the Dolphins and trades, because I have no idea what's going on, and I don't even know what my feelings are with that situation. So let's talk about the actual games that are happening or happened today. And Chiefs-Bucks, when we came down here to start the show, was about to come out at halftime. The end of the second quarter took a while, but we were left at 21-12.
Yeah,
Kansas City leading,
and that's what it is right now. Kansas City has the ball in Buffalo territory.
Okay, so that's where we stand in that game, and we'll keep you updated. Obviously, you're probably watching it as well. But Justin, what did you think so far? How the Bills-Chiefs game is going?
So it was interesting. I commented on a friend of mine from Columbia, he had mentioned, like, wow, things changed fast or whatever in the game because the Chiefs fell down, and we even joked about it in our group little text. Like, we saw this before from the Chiefs. This was all 3 of their playoff games last year was this exact thing. Fall down and then come back. I think the surprising thing to me in the first half was after the first drive, which they settled for a field goal on the first drive, how they really didn't do a ton in terms of offense until the last drive. Mm-hmm. But even there, then they still got a field goal.
Yeah, because they were essentially gifted their first touchdown.
Right.
Because of a miscue on special teams, a fumble.
Right.
Recovered by the Bills inside their 5, I think. Like
at the 3-yard line. Yeah. Right.
And
so, like, I look at it, and it was interesting. And we had the text right before half. Like, what do? Do you kick the field goal? Because they had 4th and goal from the 3. They had 3rd and goal from the 3, and I think they had 2nd and goal from the 3 as well. But like they elected to kick the field goal to make it 21-12. And I get that. I get you need the points there. It just also worries me. Now, who knows what will happen on this drive for the Chiefs. But you knew you were kicking off to them to start the second half. So, like, it's tough. So I know you got to be like, oh, we got to have faith in our defense and everything. Yeah, but your defense just gave up 21 points to the Chiefs in the second quarter. And the only drive you stopped them, I think, was the drive that ended the quarter or ended the half. Like I say drive, it was the one play to just go into the thing. So I don't know. I feel like in that situation, I feel like you have to go for it. I know it feels like you could lose the game on that play. If you don't score at all, you could basically be sealing your fate at halftime. But if you kick a field goal, and now it's 3rd and 3, I think, for the Chiefs, and I'm sure that's a little behind, but like, if you trade a field goal for a touchdown again with the Chiefs here, and you go down 28-12, I don't know that is much better. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to have to take some risks to outscore the Chiefs in the second half of the game.
Right.
I don't know. Like, I understand kicking it, but I just feel like
I
feel like you need the touchdown. Like, I don't know how many times you're going to get the ball. How many times are you going to get the ball without the Chiefs scoring? And you already were down 12. Like, so I mean, I guess.
I don't know.
We'll see how it plays out. Like, it's all revision. Like, if they don't get in it, I'm like, oh, they should have gone for it.
No,
but
you're right.
If they don't, it does come. It makes that one play even bigger. If you don't get it, you're in a lot of trouble then. But I guess a lot comes down to what happens here. So the Chiefs kicked the field goal. So it's 24-12. So it's still 12 points. So, I guess you didn't really lose much ground. You traded field goals, but...
Yeah, but I know. I would have been safe, and I would have taken the points because they were rolling, scoring 21 in a row. You weren't able to answer. You hadn't gotten much. And I understand how many times you're going to get the ball, how many times you're going to get the opportunity. Right. But if you don't get 3, then you're left even more demoralized.
Right. But I look at it this way, and I don't remember where... Their first field goal was 51 yards.
Yeah,
so they didn't...
Big boot.
Right.
Big boot.
But, so that second field goal came with... Like I said, they had 2nd and goal from the 3. Or 3.5. But, 2nd and goal right there. And 3rd and goal and 4th and goal right from that spot. They are the number 1 ranked red zone offense.
And the Chiefs are the 32nd.
Right. So, you got to make that score. However, and I heard this today. This is hard to believe. Do you know how many yards rushing per game the Bills have this year? Average?
80?
64
That's
yards.
Yeah. Wow.
But, now to be fair, we watched some of that game last week where they had 13 plays in a row where they didn't technically rush the ball, but they threw the ball. 5 of those passes are short 1-yard passes where they run.
Right.
It's like we used to see with the Eagles way back in the day where you quote unquote replace the running game with the short passing game.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right. The Patriots, that was their big thing before they started to unleash and be a scary offense, which they would do every few years. they're all about my short passing game is my rushing game. You don't have to worry about it.
I did have to laugh when the announcers were talking early in the game about how the Bills are going to dare the Chiefs to run the ball, and I'm thinking like, listen, I love Andy Reid and he's been very successful, but daring Andy Reid to run the ball is traditionally has been a strong bet, like because he's not going to do it. Like he will, and I know that's how they beat the Chiefs. Or how the Chiefs beat the Bills earlier in the year. They rushed for like 200 some yards. But yeah, it's just it'll be interesting. So Chiefs are up 12 about 5 minutes into the third quarter.
I pulled up the game here to try to watch. I'm not going to splash it up on the screen because we get flagged for that, and I don't want to lose connection here. So I do want to, before we continue talking about the championship games, the conference championship games, and talk about the Packers' loss to the Buccaneers, I have two fan contacts. The first one I'll talk about is a tweet, which we haven't had in a while, but is from my former roommate at Penn State. Is also a Buffalo Bills fan, with our basketball correspondent Adam, who they just both like to drive me nuts about the Bills. And Mark chimes in on Twitter. Now this was early, believe, when Buffalo was up 9-0. And he wanted to ask a question. Is Bills versus Brady arguably an even more epic storyline than Patriots versus Brady? Because either the Bills finally avenge themselves against their nemesis, or Brady smotes their ruin yet again, delivering a 5th Super Bowl loss even after departing the division. That is interesting.
It is a fair point.
The Bills would win tonight.
If the Bills win tonight, it would be the most wins anyone has ever had against somebody they go against in the Super Bowl. I think he's 32-3 or something like that against the Bills.
Yeah. It's crazy to think. He does not lose to the Bills often.
No.
And there were a lot of opportunities there.
Yeah.
They met each other a lot.
Well, he's already, is it only like the 4th quarterback to go to the Super Bowl with 2 different teams, I think it said?
Is that what it is, 4th?
I don't remember if it was 4 or 2, but I feel like 2 would be awfully repeated there. I think it's 4.
Okay.
But
then the other one that I have here, thank you, Mark, for tweeting at us. We appreciate it. It's from my uncle, and this is a little bit of a season recap and giving us an idea of how things went for our predictions.
Oh,
gosh. Because, he likes to keep us honest. So.
I like that we do have, this, show historian.
Right, because I don't have to worry about it then.
Right, exactly.
Go back and clip our shows, all the 8 shows we do over the summer talking about what's going to happen. Right. So he keeps us honest here. So my uncle, Rich, Massachusetts Rich, Patriots fan Rich, that's what Pat's fan Rich, I think, or whatever he calls himself. He says, since I am still retired and have no honey-do list to do, I keep track of things like our early season football picks. Oh, he not only has us, he has his and my dad's, too.
That's perfect.
So here's a summary for you to talk over. Joe, you picked 2 division winners right. The Seahawks and Chiefs.
Okay.
Plus 4 playoff teams.
Wow.
The Buccaneers, Ravens, Steelers, and Bills.
That's not bad.
That's low watermark. Justin, you also picked the same 2 division winners, plus 7 playoff teams.
All right.
Same 4 as me, plus you got Saints, Colts, and Titans.
Okay.
My dad, Bill, 3 division winners, the Seahawks and Chiefs, plus the Bills.
Ooh,
so we still went with the Patriots.
We did.
But my dad got the Bills, and he got 5 playoff teams, the Bucs, Saints, Ravens, Steelers, and Colts. My uncle had 2 division winners, the Saints and Chiefs, plus 6 playoff teams, Bucs, Seahawks, Ravens, Browns, Colts, and Titans. So overall, I mean, not awful, not terrible. 2 out of 8 for me, and then I got 4 more playoff teams, so I got 6, 6 that made the playoffs. You got 9, which is 9 out of 14.
Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take 9 out of 14. That's not bad.
My dad is 8 out of 14, and so was my uncle. So you're the winner. You got 9 out of 14.
Hey, it was my year for picking winners.
Yeah, I mean that kind of makes sense, right?
Yes.
You nailed it. I remember we talked about the spreadsheet you had where we went through game by game. Yeah. And, you had the Jaguars 0-16, and you edited it to make them 1-15, and you were not that far off.
So I was thinking of that spreadsheet today when Troy Aikman is in the game, and I sent this over the text, when Troy Aikman's like, who could have written this story? And I'm like, literally everyone wrote this story. Like, when he went to the Bucs, everybody's like, oh man, the Bucs are loaded. Watch, they're going to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like... Now, I understand what he's saying. Like, it was, there were moments this year where it didn't look like that was going to be the case and all this stuff, but, like, literally everybody thought this. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that one, I mean, we hemmed and hawed and went back and forth, but we ended up going with
and
the
I
Bucks.
shouldn't say, like, the Super Bowl, but, like, the fact that, like, the Bucks are good, that's a surprise to no one. They've got 3 all-pro caliber wide receivers. Now, one of those didn't play today, but they have a Hall of Fame tight end, and I know his it hasn't been that kind of year for him, but they've asked him to do different things.
Right. Well, look at that tight end screen today. How perfect of a play call was that?
Right. So, like, they're doing just
They're
fine.
just fine. So, my uncle actually goes into our playoff picks here. He says, let's review. Joe picked the Bucks losing to the Seahawks and the Chiefs beating the Ravens. So I have two. I had 2 in the Final 4 here in the conference championship. And then I had the Seahawks beating the Chiefs. So I was off on that. Justin, you had the Seahawks beating the Eagles and the Chiefs beating the Colts. So you have one of your Final 4 left standing. But you had the Chiefs beating the Seahawks, so your Super Bowl champ is still in play. My dad chose the Cowboys to lose to the Seahawks and the Ravens to beat the Chiefs. So my dad was only one of 4, and his Super Bowl winner is out. And my uncle's picks were Saints over Bucks and Chiefs over Ravens. And he had the Saints winning it for Drew Brees one last time over the Chiefs.
All in all, that's not a bad Final 4 for him.
Saints,
like,
Bucks,
because
Chiefs,
all of those
Ravens,
were like
close, yeah.
Right, they were all playoff teams.
They were all
Is that
playoff
the only?
teams.
Is he the only one of us to have all 4 of those be playoff teams?
No, because I had Bucks, Seahawks, Chiefs, Ravens.
Okay, so you guys both at least had all 4 teams.
Yeah, and I had the Seahawks beating the Chiefs, and he had the Saints beating the Chiefs. And now he says, I guess I'll have to root for my boy Tom.
Oh man,
He did get to hear our interview with Chad. He said, nice job. It was great listening. So thanks for listening to it after the fact, Uncle Rich. I know you're not able to listen to us live when you're not at home at your computer, but we appreciate the email, keeping us honest and up to date. That's great. I love having those little, looking back on what we thought was going to happen this season. And I think we did okay. 9 out of 14 on the playoffs is pretty good. He did really well in his Final 4. Both me and him both got the Final 4. Like, we didn't get exact, but we had all teams that were in the playoffs, just off by a game or 2 here. But really, just the Chiefs are the one keeping some of us alive. So hopefully that trend continues here. So appreciate Mark and Rich for the contact. But let's talk about the NFC Championship. Let's talk about the Packers' loss to the Buccaneers. I believe that drops Aaron Rodgers to either 1-4 or 1-5 in NFC Championship games in his career.
I think 1-4. Because I think he won the first one he went to,
and then
he lost the last 4,
including the last 2 now. Right? Wasn't the Packers 49ers? That was NFC Championship last year. It was an interesting game. At times, it felt like the Bucs were going to run away with it. They got up, 28-10, I believe.
Right.
And then things went really weird.
Yeah.
You had Brady throw 3 interceptions on, in 7 attempts? On 3 straight drives.
When he hadn't thrown a single interception in 390 something.
392 or 393. Was that his last 393 attempts, or was that postseason attempts?
I think it was his last 393 on the road.
Oh, on the road.
Yeah.
And he threw 3 and 7. It's crazy. But didn't they have that exact same stat for Rodgers in Tampa Bay earlier in the year?
I think so.
Like, he hadn't thrown some in hundreds of snaps, and he threw 2 and 5 plays or something like that. It's crazy that happened in the same 2 teams, like, in the same
some
season.
of the stuff that the Packers did, like, how do you let them throw that pass over the top for the touchdown before half? Like, that's unacceptable. That's the kind of stuff where, like, don't get me wrong, there are some things I thought about later in the game that I'm like, oh, that angers me, like, in terms of play calling and a call, which was pass interference, but they literally hadn't called that all day long.
Right. So, like, I was just frustrated with some of those things, but, like, when you do stuff like that, like, you're putting yourself in a position to lose. Yeah, I know. Everyone wants to focus on the late pass interference call,
which is a big call.
So
call.
It's interesting.
Well, I guess it was a call.
It's interesting to me, the discussion about it, because I feel like it's not black and white. I feel like it's very gray. It's open to interpretation. I know you don't want rules to be like that, And you pointed this out. I
virtually
think,
every rule is.
right. I think you pointed this out, and I completely agree. I don't like the call, not because it wasn't necessarily not pass interference,
Right.
but it hadn't been called the entire game.
Both ways. Both
right,
ways.
for both teams.
Right.
So I don't see how you call it there, especially when you combine it with the fact that I don't think the ball was catchable. I don't think it was close enough to him, and the player basically flops and embellishes what happened. Was it Tyler Johnson from the Buccaneers, who's like the 5th wide receiver? He's a rookie, barely didn't play a lot.
He
this
had
year.
a big catch earlier in the game.
He did have a big catch earlier in the game, but I don't like the call because it wasn't getting called earlier in the game. Just be consistent.
Well, literally, essentially the exact same play, but led to Buck's interception of Rodgers in the first half. Where the guy held the receiver, and that's why he was able to be in position to make the interception, and they didn't call it. Which, okay, like, if you're going to let him be physical, like, that's fine. Like, there's a lot of times where, like, man, DBs, like, get the short end of the stick on that stuff. Like, I understand. But, like, we talk about this all the time. Like, what do we ask for from officials in every sport is consistency.
Right.
And it's up to the players to adjust. To call that at the end. I'm not as big on, and I thought they did a good job of explaining, like, it seemed to come in super late. I would agree it did seem to come in super late, but that official's 25 yards away. He was where he's supposed to be,
right, exactly.
And that's his responsibility. It physically takes a long time for that flag to travel that far.
But
probably wasn't as late as it seems when you're watching it in real time.
Like you also said, they didn't lose just on that play call because you don't know what's going to happen after that.
Don't let them score before half on that stupid play.
Go for a touchdown instead of a field goal with 2 minutes to play.
So that was one that I thought was really interesting because I'm like, I don't agree with it, but I understood what they were doing because I'm like, man, they've got a chance to win now in regulation if they can stop them. And it's crazy because if that call doesn't go their way, Aaron Rodgers is getting the ball back and has a timeout left.
Yeah.
Because that was the dumbest thing ever to slide down.
Yeah, what was he doing?
I understand. I think they had said, like, hey, run a little bit. I think they thought that he would run and it would get it under 2 minutes and then he would slide.
Yeah.
But it did not. And so he gave them an extra timeout. Like, I don't.
Yeah, I don't really understand what was going on there. Yeah, just weird.
Well, I think what I said to you guys in the text was it was set up to be an awesome end to the game.
And it
just like fizzled and was so anticlimactic, and it was so between like odd play calling, a penalty influencing the outcome of the game, right or wrong. Like by the letter of the rule, it was pass interference. Like I'm not going to argue it wasn't.
Right.
You could argue that was the ball catchable? I don't know. And it always gets tough because like, well, if he wasn't interfered with, would it have been catchable?
Right.
Like sometimes it's clear as day. But like you said, there's a lot of gray area. But the thing to me was that like grabbing both ways was happening the entire game, and then they call it at the end. And that's tough. That's a tough one to swallow when it's not consistent. But yeah, if I'm the Packers, I'm like, Aaron Rodgers, run the ball on third down. You threw it. It wasn't even like a good pass. It was to Devontae Adams, who was great, but he was covered by two guys, and there was a third guy close by that had no shot of getting through.
Right.
And I don't think Rodgers scores. While he's fast, I think the guy peels off of Adams.
You know who does score?
Chad Henne
scores. Chad Henne scores in that.
But like he gets inside the 3 probably, and now you've got 4th and goal from inside the 3. But man, that led to some. It was just weird. Now it's a loss and it's tough and emotions are raw and stuff. But like, it was definitely awkward. Like some of the post game stuff there, where Rodgers like wasn't my decision, which is true. It's not your decision. That is the coach's decision. Yeah. But then he's like. Yeah, I don't know. It's always hard. He gives those cryptic answers a lot of times, all the times anyway.
Yeah,
so. Constantly.
Yeah. Seem to having a camera issue. Of course, it's the one over top of me that's the only one that shows you.
That's all right.
I'm waiting for my dad to text me. He broke the camera. Watching the game here, It's 24-15. The Bills just kicked another field goal. Cut it to 9. It's still 2-possession game.
That's 3 times, though, that they've had the ball. Well, no. It's twice they've had the ball inside the 10 and kicked the field goal.
Field goals, yeah.
Now, I know having, like, 3rd down from the 8 and 4th down from the 8 isn't exactly.
Oh, boy.
What happened?
Tyreek Hill is video gaming. He's going to. Oh, is he going to. He got tackled at the 9, I think it was. But yeah, that was a video game play. I think he's hurt now. He's either tired or hurt. He may be very tired though. I don't know, but he gets so low when he runs. It's crazy how he can stay that fast and be that low. But
he's a wee little man.
He took it from where was he on their 35 or 40 and took it all the way down to Buffalo's 9.
It says 1st and goal at the 4 is what.
He got to the 4. Okay, I just wasn't seeing it correctly. Okay, yep, 4. So he went from the 35, 40-yard line on Kansas City side to Buffalo's 4.
It's easy for me to sit here in a chair, not on camera, and not as the coach of the Buffalo Bills, but that's why you have to go for it. You have to go for it on one of these, right? Like, eventually you have to go for it. Like, do you think you're going to hold the Chiefs to 24 points?
Right. Well, they're now down to the 3.
Right. You know what I mean?
4 minutes
like,
to play in the 3rd.
You have to hold them to a field goal here. You have to hold them to a field goal here.
Right, because if they get a touchdown, you need 2 touchdowns and 2 2-point conversions to just tie the game.
Right.
So, Tyreek Hill has 8 catches for 160 yards on 9 targets. But he is resting. They put a jacket on him. So you got to be thinking this is a Travis Kelce situation here. But
didn't they hand it off to him earlier in the game too? I think on like a 3rd and 1 to get inside the down in the red zone. I thought they handed it to him.
So the Chiefs are threatening, but
and the clock's just ticking now too.
Right.
Like,
what else do you have to say about Packers-Bucks as we try to keep you updated on this Chiefs game? Packers-Bucks.
So,
I think honestly the weirder thing to me than some of the decisions by the Packers and the refs is Tom Brady's like brilliant performance that like
does that not personify all year though?
Yeah, no, it's perfect allegory for the way the Bucs season went. Because do you remember they were 7-5 at one point?
Yes,
we were talking.
They were
on
7
here,
and
like,
5.
What are they?
They were
Are
7
they
and
any
5,
good?
and I think the Patriots were 5 and 7 maybe.
Something like
but
that.
had like looked like maybe they were starting to put it together.
Corner, yeah.
And I'm thinking, and I'm sure I said
Chiefs.
There we go.
I think shovel pass to Kelce.
And you called it. But there, I was sitting. I'm like, are the Patriots worse off than the Bucs? Like, because now to be fair, I would consider this a successful season. I know that's not really going out on a limb, but like the Bucs made the Super Bowl. But anything short of the Super Bowl was going to be a failure for them. And I know you can say that about virtually any NFL team, but in reality, that's not true, right? Like there are at least 10 teams who they can say the Super Bowl is their goal, but like everybody knows it's not a realistic goal,
right?
You know what I mean? Like
75 yards in 4 plays,
and that's why you need to go. You need to go for one of these. You can't coach to kick field goals against the Chiefs.
Extra point is good. Kansas City leaves Buffalo 31-15, 3:29 to play in the 3rd quarter. So Buffalo needs 2 touchdowns and 2 2-point conversions just to tie.
Right. Without giving up any more points to the Chiefs, who have scored 31 points over the last 25 minutes of game time.
And like I was saying this in our group chat mostly because I'm terrified of the Bills winning as a Dolphins fan, coming off of 2 decades of Patriots dominance.
Well,
to see the Bills turn around and go to the Super Bowl,
dude. I've lived this. I had to live through 2 Giants Patriots Super Bowls.
That's right. But I'm saying this to Adam, who's he's being excited, and I get it.
Oh, 100%.
But he wasn't like being obnoxious. He's just this is a good start.
It is a good start.
What I said, this is right where the Chiefs want you, right? And it was only like half joking. Like,
right.
We've seen this story how many times?
It was interesting because I was talking with Adam this week, and we were just talking about how like I read, and it was one of those. It was one of those statistics things that's just like fascinating to me.
Boggles your mind.
538 did like this statistical analysis of like quote unquote how lucky have the Chiefs been over their last like 8 games, and like statistically speaking, they've been as lucky as you can get in terms of some of the things that have happened in games. and by winning their last 8 games by a combined 32 points. Like, that's absurd. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen in the NFL. To win all of those games, well, except one, but like by that, it just is crazy. But we were talking, we're like, at some point, it's gonna veer from that, right? At some point, they either lose or they win by more than a couple points. Like,
right.
And he's like, and he was saying, he's like, I'm deathly afraid that it's gonna be they win by more than just a few points.
Well, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. We're gonna have an entire Super Bowl preview show next week. But looking at the Buccaneers, now maybe they get healthy and Antoine Winfield Jr. plays in 2 weeks, should the Chiefs win this game. But who on the Buccaneers is stopping the Chiefs' weapons? Because no one was able to do it this year. Like, really, the Raiders beat the Chiefs in week, 5?
Yeah.
In Kansas City. Because they were able to score more than them. I know that sounds really stupid, but you know what I'm saying. The Chiefs' defense couldn't stop them when they needed to, because the game was in the 30s, wasn't it? The points scored, both teams were in the 30s. So that's the only way the Chiefs are going to lose. I don't know if I have confidence enough that the Bucs are going to be able to put up as many points as the Chiefs. The Chiefs almost picked off Allen.
Okay, so this will sound insane. And is this hyperbole? Absolutely. But that's why I want to talk about it. Who, at this point, okay, there's still a lot of football left in this game.
Yes, there is.
Based on what you've seen today, though, and what you saw even throughout these playoffs, again, it's not as big of a picture as you might think, but like, who do you take? Do you take Patrick Mahomes, or who do you trust more? Do you trust Patrick Mahomes more, or do you trust Tom Brady more? Based on what we saw today,
based on the season sample size, and really micro too, like you said today, I'm taking Mahomes. Now he's
better than the GOAT. I got it.
In this, it's one of those things. Am I talking about this game
you
right
said
now?
It. He's better. You said it. He's the best all time. We heard it.
Trying to get me in trouble. But no, I was down on Brady, and obviously that's.
By the way, Adam should be thanking us because we just locked up the Bills coming back in this game,
exactly.
right? Like,
true. But the first maybe 10 or so years, I was convinced that, I don't want to say system, but I'm down on Brady because I feel like a lot of it was coaching and what they were able to do around him, and it was this team game, blah, blah, blah. And obviously 2007 made me mad with the way they were doing things. And then 2008, he blows out his knee, in the first week. And they were able to do stuff without him. But, a few years later it comes around, and he's doing it now with lesser pieces and constantly.
And he's doing it. It's not just like
He's like the
It's not like Hall of Famers across the defense.
Right.
He's
getting it done. And now you see what he's able to rejuvenate Tampa Bay in a year. So, I understand that Brady is quite clearly for everyone, this isn't debatable, obviously top 5, should be probably top 3, and by and large probably number 1. And this isn't for me, this is saying everyone. If you have a quarterback, greatest quarterback of all time discussion, if you leave Tom Brady out of it, you are a whole lot of things.
No,
at this stage now.
Absolutely. No, I mean, that's kind of how I was saying this a little bit 2 years ago, or maybe more than that, when they beat the Rams in the Super Bowl. And people are like, who are you rooting for? Well, I don't want either team to win, but based on my fandom, Tom Brady winning another Super Bowl at that point meant nothing to me, especially because the Eagles had beat him the year before. Yeah,
you had that feather in your cap.
It changes everything. And it came up this year. In which of the games? One of the playoff games, somebody threw for 500 yards and lost. Or maybe it was... No, it wasn't a playoff game. It was one of the games where Brady lost, or they were close to losing, but he threw for 500 some yards, and they're like, when has, you don't see that, and I'm like, oh yes, or maybe it wasn't even him, but somebody threw for a ton of yards, for over 500 yards, and lost, and that's what Brady did against the Eagles in the Super Bowl.
So, yeah. Still no luck on this camera. I'm not really sure what to do about it, but that's disappointing. So let's change things up.
But
here.
So I feel like, man, that's a heck of a matchup. I also was thinking about this, and don't get me wrong, is this some of me just still being bitter over it? Because
Josh Allen just got sacked. Like a huge
this
sack by
is
Frank Clark.
This is absolutely me still being bitter about some of these things. But when I look at it, it is interesting to me how like the Spygate stuff and the deflated ball, like I understand that's kind of like whatever. Some people think it's a bigger deal than what it probably was. But like when you get into that stuff, just like PEDs in football, people just like make a big deal out of it and then just don't care. Like it just doesn't care. It hasn't changed the narrative at all. But you look at something like baseball, where PEDs keeps people out of the Hall of Fame,
Right.
but only if you're caught.
Isn't that amazing?
Only if you're caught.
It's absolutely
right?
amazing.
Because there are steroid users in the Hall of Fame. Like, just to be clear, there are steroid users in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
They just weren't caught.
Well, I want all of them to be, and I have no problem with
100%.
Clemens and Pettit,
Right, absolutely.
and McGuire and Sosa,
Absolutely.
All
Absolutely.
those guys.
But then I just also I look at it. People just don't care in football, and yet here it is. But you look at the Astros. Like the Astros won, but they cheated. They cheated, and now it's going to be years removed, and people are still. It's such a big deal. People joke about it all the time, and not that people don't joke about it with the Patriots, but it just goes away because that's what happens in football. People just don't care about that kind of stuff. I'll never forget when Brian Cushing got popped for testing positive for PEDs. They re-voted for Defensive Rookie of the Year, and he still won.
Yeah.
Because they're just it
happens.
When Brian Cushing, who had steroid issues in high school, had steroid issues in college, had steroid issues in college or in the pros, and they're just that's just kind of his thing.
It's what he does.
Right.
Don't worry about it. So, oh yes. We're in year what is this now? Year 3 of Mahomes starting, 4 in his career, correct? He sat the whole first year, almost the whole first year.
Right,
on the
he
bench.
played the last game.
He took him to the AFC Championship game his first year. That's when he burst onto the scene.
First AFC team ever to host 3 straight AFC Championship games.
Yep. Chad Henne playing in his 4th straight AFC Championship game. So, where are we on Mahomes in 3 years as a starter, with an MVP, a Super Bowl MVP, a Super Bowl championship, 3 straight AFC Championship game appearances, pending on whether we're getting a second Super Bowl appearance.
So this sounds crazy.
The career trajectory, where are we at?
Career trajectory, I'm all in. I think the sky's the limit for this guy. It's really interesting. A lot could be determined over the next 2 weeks, because if he gets 2, if they win, there's a decent chance he'll be Super Bowl MVP.
Right, because quarterback, naturally.
Right. So if they were to win and he were to get Super Bowl MVP, that would give him more Super Bowls than Aaron Rodgers. Mm-hmm. It'd give him more Super Bowls than Drew Brees. It would give him as many Super Bowls as
Eli and Peyton.
Right.
Now you're probably talking all the time, so I'm sorry I said Eli.
No. No, but that's right. But he'd have as many as John Elway.
He'd be closing in on Troy Aikman.
Right. And he's a couple years in now.
And he's only 4 years in his career, 3 years as a starter. They have guys locked up.
Right. Can that go crazy? Right. And that's the thing. We've talked about this as a whole different part of what we talked about on the show, usually in relationship to the Eagles. But they had $177 of cap space coming into the year, into this season. And they locked up Mahomes to a $500 million deal.
Right.
I know it's more complex than that. They locked up Kelsey, the highest tight end contract ever. They locked up. Did they lock up Clark, or did they end up
No, I think he's on a long term.
Okay, yeah, but they lock guys up man.
Yeah, I don't.
They're sitting in a good spot.
So the fourth quarter's underway. Kansas City still leads 31-15. The Bills do have the ball 1st and 10, and we'll see how things go. They have to score on this drive. You don't get any points on this drive. They are in Chiefs territory. They're inside the 40.
In theory, you might not kick it again until overtime if you're them. That's got to be your goal, is for him to not kick until overtime. Because
going for the end zone. Oh, just over Stephon Diggs' head. Sorry, not for the end zone. Toward the 10-yard line.
It was towards the end zone.
Yeah, right. That's what I was saying. I thought they were closer than they were. Bashad Breeland was on Stephon Diggs. Actually, Diggs get away with a little push off, and then he comes up complaining about Bashad Breeland for some reason. But Diggs was the one that pushed off. So, well, like I said, I don't want to dig too deep into the Super Bowl matchup. One, it's not confirmed, and two, we're going to have an entire hour to talk about it next week. I believe with Paul Roberts, I'm going to reach out to him and have him on, especially because when we talked to him the first time we talked to him, the Bucs were one of those teams that he was like he was all
really
about.
high
He was
on.
really high on, and you and I were just kind of like,
Yeah,
some weeks,
okay,
some
Paul.
weeks, no, I don't know, I don't see it. But we also did hedge our bets and said, what NFC team really is there? Because we weren't sold on any of them.
Right, and I feel like that's what we saw.
And I'm still at that point. And then I said the next time we were on with Paul, I said, give me the Chiefs and everyone else. Like if you were like, in a betting world, you can bet on the Chiefs or you can bet on the other, at the time, 31 teams. Obviously, it doesn't work out that way. Even if you give me the other, 13 teams in the playoffs, I still take the Chiefs, and I'm not budging off of that.
Right.
Why would I now? They're a quarter away from making the Super Bowl.
Right.
So, but Chiefs-Bucks, where are we at on that? It's great quarterback matchup.
Yeah, I'm excited.
The young goat against the old goat, right?
Yeah.
Because, really, that's the way you look at it. Mahomes is the guy. I know there are people, hopping on the Josh Allen bandwagon this year.
Oh,
but
absolutely. And based on the way he played this year, you should. He scored. Right. They were flashing that stat up there over and over. He's responsible for 50 touchdowns this year. That's absurd.
And that's what you want in a young guy.
Yes.
I just don't think he's on Mahomes' level, but no one is. I don't think anyone is.
He's Pro Bowl caliber, like Josh Allen, like the way he played this year, Pro Bowl caliber, like up there, arguably the second best quarterback in the AFC this year.
I think he may be the second best quarterback in the AFC this season.
Now, his numbers may be better than Mahomes this year. I think they are better than Mahomes this year.
Mahomes didn't play a game.
Right,
the last week of the season.
There's some of the
They also are now poised to beat them. Mahomes is poised to beat Allen to the second time head-to-head, this time in the AFC Championship.
Right.
So you got that going for you, too. Obviously, both teams should be excited for the future, too, which is crazy to think about a team that is possibly on the verge of making a second straight Super Bowl.
It says the Chiefs got the ball back.
Oh, so my stream may be behind.
Right.
But, hey, I'm all for that. Go Chiefs. Run it back.
I know.
Chiefs Kingdom,
yes,
baby.
That's...
So it'll be, I got so many things going on right now. Just thinking about, will it become annoying?
Yes.
What do you know? What am I about to say?
Okay. If I had to predict what you're gonna say, is I would say that the passing of the torch conversation that's gonna happen between
No,
Brady
that's
and
not where
Mahomes.
I was going at all.
Okay.
No,
sorry.
Is it going to be annoying? Am I going to find the Chiefs annoying once Chad isn't there? But I believe he signed a 2-year contract. So,
okay, can I give you my take on that? I think a lot of it is going to have to do with how the Dolphins pan out. If the Dolphins go into contention and Chad's not there, yes, you're going to be super annoyed by them because
they're an AFC team.
Right. If and I don't hope this happens, but if the Dolphins don't pan out and Chad is there for a year or two or whatever,
I'm just going to keep riding those coattails.
Right. I think it'll be kind of, and if Mahomes keeps being the guy that he appears to be, hey, you're rooting for him and he's fun to watch.
The great thing for me, at least next year, is Miami doesn't play Kansas City next year.
There you go.
They unfortunately had to play them this year because of scheduling.
And we keep getting to see that play over and over.
They keep showing it over and over. I'm like, yeah, thanks. They sealed the game against my Dolphins by running the play that Chad beat the Browns with. Yes, thank you. I love seeing it. I appreciate it. I like the one against the Browns better. But Miami doesn't play Kansas City next year in the regular season. So unless they meet in the postseason, I don't have to worry about that.
They picked off Josh Allen, is what this says. Now,
all right, well, we haven't gotten to that point, so my streams are probably about at least a minute behind. I'm not going to say it's over, but that's not going to be helpful.
Right, and I don't know if it's being reviewed or if they're just a commercial or what.
If the Chiefs score on this drive, it's pretty close to being over. Because you're talking about, probably about 10 minutes to play, and you're down by...
Right, there's 13 right now, but, so they would... Yeah, it could be a problem.
So, You know, yeah. That was just my thought running through my head is, will I eventually find the Chiefs annoying like people found the Patriots annoying? People
but I feel like we were on the
people hated the Cowboys.
We were on the
90s,
Patriots.
The Steelers.
We were on
for
the.
so
I was
long.
on Patriots hate from the beginning. Like they were never the lovable losers to me.
See, I didn't really start to hate them until 2007.
Oh, see, I couldn't stand them. But part of that's because they beat the Eagles probably. But
a few years before that, yeah.
And I think by that time, and that was a little early, but I was full on I was on the Peyton. Like, I wanted Peyton and the Colts to be better than the Patriots.
Yeah, which is funny because I was anti-Peyton.
I know.
For so long.
I'll never forget. So, I was back home. This was the 2006 Super Bowl, I think. Was that the Bears-Colts?
Yeah, Bears-Colts, because I was up at Penn State.
And my parent, I was living at home because I was taking classes at Kutztown for, my teaching cert. And my parents were away. They were on a cruise. And, your parents were like, hey, they're having their Super Bowl party. Like, oh, man, let's just think back to times when people just had parties at their houses. And
Chiefs are at the 40.
Lots of people came over, But I went, and everyone was rooting for... Maybe
the Bears.
Not... Right. Everyone was rooting for the Bears.
Well, John Gilmore was
was there. And it may have been different now. Now that I've met John and all this thing. But, at the time, I knew who John was, but, he didn't go to Wilson when I went to... I was only there for 2 years. It was just different. And I wanted Peyton to get one so bad. Mm-hmm. I was there in my Peyton Manning jersey.
And everyone just
oh my gosh. And then they won. And I was so happy.
Yeah, that was in Miami.
Yes,
it was
and
pouring
it poured rain.
Yes. Devin Hester kicked it off with a return for a touchdown. And that was the best highlight
by the
Chicago
way,
got.
that year... The college football BCS championship started the same way. Ted Ginn had opened it.
Ohio State and then Florida smacked them.
Right.
Yeah, it was funny the parallels to those two games was just really eerie. But the Chiefs are near Buffalo's 40 here in the fourth quarter. So I don't want to be clipped on freezing cold takes for saying it's over, but
there's worse things that could happen.
No, I know, and trust me, I know they're not scouring this show for freezing cold takes, but it certainly looks like it's going to be Chiefs, Bucks. I mean, honestly, if they listen to this show, they would find plenty of freezing cold takes, as we talked about at the beginning of the show. As we both had recap,
as we both had Seattle in the Super Bowl.
But yeah, good stuff. So,
Bucks. On that note, and I have to give him credit, and I can't stand him, Max Kellerman. However, he put out today, and this was great because he gets grief all the time for his statement of years ago when he said how Brady had gone off the cliff, and they're just he's terrible, and it's going to be a decline, and he's like, you could argue that Tom Brady has had a Hall of Fame career since I made that statement.
Yeah, when was that?
I feel like it was the year. I feel like it might have been the year before the Eagles, and them played in the Super Bowl. It could have been the year before, for all I don't know, but it was around that time. I think.
I'm sure it's on freezing cold takes.
Max Kellerman sent it out is what I saw. So he sent it out, but I don't know exactly when he did that. But it was just funny because he's just owning it. He's that
was a bad one.
Right.
That was a bad one. Yep. Well, we all have our own.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
Bad sports takes out there. Just some people have to have them thrown back.
As our buddy Paul Roberts would say, that's what makes sports great. You can't write some of this stuff.
You cannot write some of this stuff. No,
but
absolutely.
unlike what Troy Aikman would say, the Bucks being good is one of the things that you could write.
Yes. So that's where we're at. It looks like Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl back-to-back, so early congratulations to them, and obviously super happy for Chad Henne. If you didn't get to see our live interview with him last Sunday, just 2 hours after he helped the Chiefs beat the Browns in an epic fashion, he called our show and talked to us for about 6 minutes. I clipped it and posted it separately up on YouTube and Facebook. You can check that out. It was just great for him to just call in live. He didn't need to do that, and we completely appreciate him taking the time to do that. He's taking time away from his family, just enjoying the pizza, and gives us a call to talk for a few minutes. And now he's poised to go back to the Super Bowl again. So absolutely totally happy for him and his Chiefs teammates here as Mahomes was so perfect. He was about to run out of bounds. Instead, he gets another 2 yards, almost gets the first down, and just slides, stays in bounds. So the great thing about, before we go here, just the last few minutes, and this goes back to me talking about, is it going to be annoying for the Chiefs to be good once Chad isn't there anymore? Whether it's retired or he moves to another team for a year or two, whatever. And like you said, it probably does depend if they're beating the Dolphins, my team, in the playoffs or something like that. Then I'm going to start to get really annoyed by it.
Then it's tough.
But the thing is, the Tyreek Hill situation aside, they're players I like. Now, I'm not a AFC West fan, so I understand if the Broncos, Chargers, and Raiders guys don't like him. I get it. Trust me. That's why I don't like the Bills. I'm here telling you how much I don't like the Bills. And do I hate Josh Allen? No, I don't hate Josh Allen. But he plays for the Bills, so I hate Josh Allen. That's the way it works.
I understand. Right. Sean Lee with the Cowboys.
Right. Yeah, for sure. But Patrick Mahomes is so likable. Yeah. For everything they talk about him on the field, he's just as powerful off the field in all the good ways. I mean, they talk about his charity work, his foundations. He's bought into the Kansas City baseball team because he wants to be there long term. Right. So it's hard to dislike them. And actually, that is emphasized by my mother-in-law loves Patrick Mahomes, and she just wishes that there was some way he could play for the Steelers. That's because she's not a Roethlisberger person.
That is my nightmare.
She does not like him, has never liked Roethlisberger.
That is my nightmare.
And she loves Patrick Mahomes and just wishes he could play for the Steelers. So that wouldn't work well for you, although I'm sure your wife would like that.
Oh my gosh.
So that's why I'm just, until it's a problem, that's a future Joey's problem. If the Chiefs are a thorn in the Dolphins'
It's a problem you hope you have to face.
I do hope it comes up, but for now, as long as Chad's on the team and my Dolphins are out of the picture, I will be all about Chiefs Kingdom. So that's where I'm at. So it was fun last Sunday in the euphoria following the game to just see everyone sending out the gifts and the Photoshop pictures and just all the comments, and some of them were funny, some of them were just like wow, and the Henny for Starter guys are really all about it. They're posting stuff. The next few days I was retweeting and reposting things on Instagram, just people, someone did a watercolor painting of it, which was super cool. Didn't see if that was for sale. His other ones, he does a bunch of Chiefs stuff, very cool stuff, but I was just finding anything and everything out there, and then we ended up making these shirts. So and I like the Wilson ones. We got Chad's number and it got his signature there at the top. It was just super fun. So if you're a Wilson fan or in the West Lawn area, we do have some of these shirts available to purchase at May's Sandwich Shop. And again, a portion of the proceeds are going to the Wilson School District's Minithon. I'll be sending them a check as soon as I have the final numbers. I got to wait till everything comes in and everything sells. So let's get those shirts sold so that I can get that donation into them. Justin, anything to add before we wrap this up? Sorry the camera's not working.
No, that really does not matter.
I don't know what happened.
No, it is crazy. So yesterday I was like, man, there's no football on today.
Yeah, it was weird.
It was tough. And then next week there's going to be no football.
No, because there's no Pro Bowl, nothing.
Yeah, so
yeah, it's going to be weird.
It's going to be something, yeah. So Super Bowl can't get here quick enough, but in some ways it can only get here too quick. Because after that, who?
Yeah. So we will have one more show in January, the 31st, next Sunday. That will be our true Super Bowl preview. Chiefs are inside the 10, about to score again. And hopefully that'll be with Paul Roberts. I'm going to reach out to him for that. Then we will be off for 2 weeks. Super Bowl Sunday, obviously, we don't want to take viewership away from the Super Bowl. So
right, yeah, the NFL has reached out to us.
Right, they said, could you please? And they're like, yeah, sure, definitely. But since we're doing the preview the week before, we don't necessarily need to have a show then, so we're going to take that Sunday off. We've been going pretty strong since Wilson football season ended anyways, so it'll be nice to have a little bit of a break. We're actually going to be off the next Sunday, too. That's Valentine's Day. Take a little midwinter break for us. So we'll be off 2 weeks in a row. However, in about a month from now, February 21st, that is actually going to be our 10th anniversary show. And I believe it actually may fall on the almost exact date that we debuted 10
There we
years
go.
ago.
There we go.
We like technically were founded, I think, the 11th, but our first broadcast show may have been the 21st. It was right around then. So,
Dude, think
could
about
be to
that.
the
Like
day.
how we were upstairs passing the microphone back and forth.
Yeah, I know. We tell this story all the time, but the first 7 episodes there wasn't any video.
Right.
It was just us with a microphone that for the first couple shows that literally came with my computer.
Right.
It wasn't even a microphone with like a windscreen. It was like one of those little basically a mic that you had before like Zoom became popular.
I was gonna say,
that plastic
so like,
stick.
think about the microphone you probably used if you needed one a year ago, and have upgraded since.
Yeah, so it's amazing how far we've come and how much things have changed in the last 10 years, both technologically, in sports, in the world, in our lives, personal lives, marriages and children and all that stuff. But we keep plugging away, and 325 episodes here, and our 10th anniversary will be our 327th episode, which is, kind of crazy to think about it, but we just keep going.
I think we're pretty safe with the Chiefs here.
Yeah. So the Chiefs scored. Extra point is good. 38-15 with 7.5 minutes to play. So yeah, Chiefs Buccaneers. A lot of people are gonna be right with their predictions. I'm sure there's plenty of people that picked that because everyone was all about the Chiefs. I'm not sure anyone. The other popular pick I think was Baltimore. Like if they weren't picking the Chiefs, most
Baltimore
were
was
picking the
there.
Ravens. I think
Right.
that was pretty high up there.
All right. So just real quick, like, I know the game didn't play out exactly the same as last year, but like, the Packers 13-3 2 years in a row, and just
Don't make the Super Bowl.
completely underwhelmed in the NFC Championship game. It's one thing if you play really well and lose. I wouldn't constitute today's game as that for them. They played good enough. Well,
Right.
no, they almost played good
Well, yeah,
enough.
they didn't play good enough because
But
they
like,
lost. But
right, but like, it's not like they went out and laid an egg like last year. But at the same
Right.
time, like, it wasn't like you watched it like, oh, they deserved to win the game and just didn't get it. They were just unlucky. No, they did plenty of things to lose the game. It just, I don't know. It's weird. It's just weird there. And Aaron Rodgers, I don't think is happy there.
Which I mean, like part of me gets, but part of me doesn't. Like, yeah, they drafted your replacement. Boo-hoo, get over it. This is why I'm not an Aaron Rodgers fan.
No.
Like,
So it
his career
surprised me.
trajectory is the opposite of Peyton Manning.
I had this conversation with
me.
your dad earlier this week, and he's in the same boat. And I was surprised. Like, I thought your dad was going to be like, oh yeah, I kind of like Aaron Rodgers. He's like, no, I can't stand Aaron Rodgers.
No, he doesn't like Aaron Rodgers. He doesn't like Aaron Rodgers. I don't like Aaron Rodgers. And this is something that has happened over the last 5 years. Like
No, I get
early
it.
stage Aaron Rodgers, like other than they were playing the Steelers, like I didn't mind him winning the Super Bowl. Actually, I like that he won the Super Bowl despite it being against the Steelers because you know who made shut up? Colin Cowherd. Because that was when I listened to ESPN radio. It was before November 2011 and the Penn State stuff happened. And Colin Cowherd got to eat crow, and Aaron Rodgers basically shoved it in his face.
Right.
He called him I think he talked to him from some limo ride from an airport or something, and he was very short with Colin and everything, and Colin was trying to laugh it up, but during the season or at least in the playoffs and maybe even leading up to Super Bowl, Cowherd was dogging on him that he didn't think Aaron Rodgers was any good.
Right.
And Aaron Rodgers now since that Super Bowl put up a lot of stats, but not a lot of other hardware to show for it, at least the team hardware.
Right.
So, I don't know, it'd be interesting. I feel like it almost completely mirrors Brett Favre, to a T. Because you know how much I despise Brett Favre.
Yeah.
And I feel like Aaron Rodgers is doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, and it could be really interesting because it could end up being the same way. Because Favre wasn't happy when they drafted Rodgers, even though he was you understand what, I don't know.
So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. We talked about the way things work with drafts and salaries and whatnot, that the Packers need to know what they have in Jordan Love by the end of his third season, because you got to pick up his fifth-year option before, when league year 4 starts, you're picking up that fifth-year option. Well, 1 year is already gone and done. So are you going to judge that on either no years or 1 year, or do you want 2 years? Because if you want 2 years of evaluation, he's got to start this coming fall. Jordan Love has to start for the Packers this coming fall if you want 2 years of evaluation to figure out if you're picking up that fifth-year option. If you're okay going with 1 year of evaluation, you can you can keep Rodgers around and play him this year, which is what I think is going to happen.
Yeah.
So I think the Green Bay Rodgers drama, I think, is a year away. I think we're going to hear a lot about it, but I don't think it's going to materialize. I think it's going to be next year. But, I mean, it puts the Packers in a precarious spot because maybe you win 10 to 13 games again next year, come up short, don't win another Super Bowl, but now you burned 2 years of Jordan Love, and you have essentially a season to evaluate him, or you got to pick up the fifth year just because you have to pick up the fifth year, which is what I'm going to guess is going to happen. But I don't know. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see.
It'll be very interesting to see.
So thanks to our sponsors, May's Sandwich Shop and Small Player Big Play. We appreciate their support of the show. Be sure to visit them or check them out online at ordermaze.com or search for Small Player Big Play in your app store and get the app for youth athletics. And they've been streaming a whole bunch of content in and around the West Lawn, Reading, Pennsylvania area and beyond. So they're a great resource, and we appreciate all they do for us here at the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show. Any shout-outs, anything to mention, Justin?
Not off the top of my head.
Not off the top of your head. So that's it then. I will say a belated happy birthday to my daughter, Natalie. Turned 8 on Friday. Got her
That's crazy.
8th video up of recounting her year in second tidbits. That's always fun to do. And it's great to watch the year that was. And I got 8 of them now. And yeah, it is crazy that she's 8. Our podcast is older than her, but it's amazing that she's been around for so much of it. And yeah, so happy birthday to her. And happy birthday to my cousin Andrew, Brandywine Superintendent, celebrating birthday today. So.
There you go.
Sure, he hasn't had any difficulty over the last year with his job. No, just breeze right through there.
Yeah, not envious of that.
No, not at all. So
you have fun with that.
Yes, definitely do. So we will be back next week, like I said, episode 326, hopefully with Paul Roberts to preview Super Bowl 55 between the Buccaneers and Chiefs. So that's it for us here at the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show. We will be back again in 1 week's time. Until then, enjoy the rest of the AFC Championship game, and go Chiefs.
There we go.
That's a wrap on this episode of the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show, brought to you by May's Sandwich Shop. Woo-hoo! You can watch each weekly episode live on Facebook, Periscope, or YouTube. Be sure to like, follow, or subscribe to the show on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play. You can also rate and review us on many of these platforms as well. We'd love to hear from you. Send your emails to the Mays Sandwich Shop inbox at joemaysandjraff@gmail.com. The Joe Mays and J-Raff Show is a part of the JMNJR Radio Network, home to other productions such as The Bulldog Hour, Tangents with Friends, and Nat Chats with Dad. Until next time.